Council in our work session this afternoon, August the 3rd, 2021, and we have all our council here with us and a lot of our staff. And we welcome you here and any public that are here with us this evening. We'll start our first discussion, and our city manager will lead that discussion on our pipe plant development.
Can I ask a question really quick?
Yes, go ahead.
Scott, you have library back there. Do you want them to wait until after the sewage discussion, or you want them to take care of it?
Yes, this discussion I don't think is going to take very long.
Oh, okay.
I don't think. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But no, we're fine.
I've got like 3 pages, so if you're...
We have a committee that's been put together to take a look at a park at the pipe plant area. We've been working on the master plan of this park for a few years now, and we have a master plan that designates public works being out there, cemetery expansion, a big storm drain project, and also a public park. This committee met, it was last week, it was Monday, last week, to discuss what this park's going to look like moving forward. We do have an individual in our community that has offered to help pay for some of, as a generous donation to the city, to help make this park be something special. As we were having this discussion last week, the idea came up of, do we need to take another look at the location of our public works facility? Would it make sense that we have that locate somewhere else and then take, let's just say 10 acres that would sit on out at the pipe plant, to have that be designated for something else? Could be an extension of the park, could be used for other purposes, just not having a public works facility. So as the committee discussed that, it was said, hey, we'll put this on the agenda. If we're going to pursue this, I'd like for the city council to give that direction to me, to staff, to look at that. I'll just make a comment. Like I said, we've been looking at this for 2 or 3 years, and if we're ever going to change what we have currently been talking about for the last 2 or 3 years, it needs to be pretty quick, because if we are going to put public works somewhere else, we're getting to a point of starting to make decisions where we're going to lock in. Okay, we've already spent money on the design of this at this location, and so we're already a few dollars spent. I think not enough that it would hinder us from making a different decision if we feel that's appropriate. And there's some extenuating circumstances having to deal with the donor and their participation in helping in whatever direction we go, and exactly what that means. We don't have an exact meaning of that, and that's something that we will pursue. So I think, in my opinion, for us to do some due diligence, and I don't want to take 6 months on this. Hopefully in 2 weeks we can come back and bring some things back to you to say, here's some potential ways that we could do this outside of having public works in the pipe plant. And our discussion would be an executive session when we talk specifics about this, because now we're talking about purchasing property. So we can do that in an executive session, and we can make a determination once and for all whether we want to pursue that or whether we want to keep things how they are. So with that, I'm essentially recommending give staff 2 weeks to put some things together to present to you. We will have some potential locations. Now, this is with an understanding that we probably haven't talked to the property owner to see if it's even for sale, but we will show locations. And then we'll try to put some numbers together to say, if we do this, this is how much more money it's going to cost us to head that direction. So that's... Is there any questions?
Questions, or you just want direction?
Well, if there's questions before direction, I'd love to answer questions, or if there are other things that you want to have added into this.
Is there any disadvantage? I mean, do we waste any money? Do we waste any time by pursuing, thoughts on relocating the public works to a different location? Other than the pipe plant?
If we can turn this around in 2 weeks, and if we decide in 2 weeks that we are going to pursue another place, then that will probably add, I would guess, 6 months onto this project. It's going to take a while to get that property tied down, purchased. We're going to have to figure out how to pay for it, because we don't necessarily have the money in the bank now.
Right. So it would delay work on public works, but it wouldn't necessarily delay on the park,
No, not necessarily on the
Section.
park.
right? Okay.
I mean, it might change the dynamic. If the
Right.
park all of a sudden gets expanded, then there would be another discussion on, how we're gonna pay for a 20-acre park instead of a 10-acre
Okay.
park. So that, I guess it depends on what direction we go. But if we choose to relocate it somewhere else, that's gonna add some time onto the project.
You know, Todd, there is some wasted money, so if you're not gonna have public works there, the decant facility would have to be demoed and taken out, and that was roughly $300,000-$400,000, Marty. And then we had sewer lines and water lines installed in there.
Well, but
for-
we're not
for the
making
new-
that choice, right? I mean, all we're doing is we're just giving direction that,
Well,
Right,
so
we're not,
what,
you just asked, he was asking, what's,
well, no, I'm specifically talking on the delay, right? If we
Oh,
take
okay.
2 weeks,
No.
are we in any rush, or will anything be missed, or a project plan be
When's your next
slipped?
meeting? Do you guys have a committee, or have you put that on hold until you figure this out?
no, this is me, Marty, Tina, and Denise.
Okay.
The four of us will, I mean, Marty, I think, will have some ideas that he's gonna be working on here. And I think we'll have something, but I guess the only thing about time that could cause concern is just interest rates. If we're gonna borrow money, the sooner the better, is the feeling. Interest rates could always go lower. They're already really, really low. We could run a risk of them going higher, but we can't predict interest rates. So that would just be one thing.
And detention basin, you're
No,
not
the detention
considering
basin would
moving?
stay there. That's the whole reason we bought the property in the first
Right.
place.
Okay,
The decant facility, we'll have to look at whether that can stay or whether that needs to be relocated to. That will be part of our analysis.
I don't know what that is. Say that, what is that?
So we have a facility that when we go and pick up stuff in,
Oh, sure. Oh, decontaminated.
yeah,
stuff. Sorry.
decant.
I-
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I just didn't
I'm
put those
almost
two
going
words together.
military on you here. No,
Got it.
decontamination facility that we're required to have when
Makes sense.
we have our vac truck and we suck up stuff off the street. We have to take
Okay,
care of
thanks.
it.
Have you
So-
seen that out there, Todd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the
I
other
just didn't know
thing,
what decan was
yeah.
until he said decontamination.
The other thing is, I mean, we did spend 30,000 on an architect to help create the concept plan and space analysis and things like that. Some of that would carry over, some of that would probably have to be redone if we relocate, but
Okay.
just so you know. But we'll have that full analysis, I think, when we meet again in 2
I think
weeks,
that makes sense, Mayor, to
Okay,
at least investigate some options.
so council, we all ready to proceed? And I think we give them a little leeway too, 2 weeks may be too quick. If it's not, we'll. push
I
it
hope
for
if we
September.
can't get her done in 2 weeks, then it'll be our first meeting in September, but I don't want to do this 4 months from now.
I think you're gonna
prefer
get a
that we-
pretty good sense from landowners, right, pretty quick.
Well, I don't know if we're gonna be actually talking to landowners. I think we're just gonna pinpoint properties. And if then the council says we wanna go that direction, then we'll start talking to landowners. I don't know how much sense it makes for us to start engaging on a negotiation on a price. I mean, we can ballpark a price, but if the word starts getting out that we're looking for property, then the price starts going up. And so we gotta be calculated and careful on how we proceed on this.
And maybe we look at another place to put our park.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Mayor. And that's another option is, it might be easier to relocate the park and put that somewhere than it would be relocating Public Works in regards to a cost.
Yeah, why don't you look at that as
We
well?
will, we'll look at that too. Sorry, that's something that we thought about earlier today, is that we'll have that as an option as well.
Okay? I think you've got
I
your
can
marching
proceed?
orders. Let's
Okay,
proceed.
all right.
Okay,
Should we move into our next items?
yeah.
So with staff business, we'll have everybody come up. I do want to start with the library because Linda's here to present on something real quick. Once we get through with the staff, I would like to tackle item 9B, which is our rezone that we have going on tonight. In the work session, I'd like for you to, Daniel, to give you the presentation to answer any questions or concerns that you may have, so that when we get into our city council meeting, hopefully you'll have a good basis to what's going on and where it's at. Now, we will still do the full presentation at council meeting. It is a public hearing. We will have the public here. So we'll do the same presentation, but we want to get out in front a little bit with you to have some of that discussion. So we'll do that after staff business.
Okay. So let's start with library. Sherry, come forward.
I've got Linda Butler here with me. You've met her before. Oh, I don't need to say anything, it sounds like. Diane is already applauding. The Literacy Center, again, won the first place for Best Tutoring Center in the Daily Herald Best of Utah Valley. So we have another plaque.
Wow.
And it's extra impressive this time because it was all from a distance, but she kept it going. And, you know, with different ways of doing it, she didn't just fold for the year. So I'm really proud. So thank you, Linda. And I'll pretend I'm the Daily Herald.
Is this,
Would you like to say some words, sir, Linda? Would you like to say anything to us?
Well, I think what kept it going are the volunteer tutors. I had about 20 people ranging from high school students to retired people who learned how to navigate going online and working with students from a distance, and it has really made a difference in these children's lives.
Wow.
I think this is back to back, right? Come on,
Yes?
Yeah.
back to back. Okay.
And Linda, how many students are in the program right now?
I think we've got about 23, so it's about half of what we normally have.
Summer slows down.
And summer is slower, but we've learned a lot by taking one of the most in-person things that you can do, side-by-side tutoring and running it online, and I think it's been successful. We've had to be really innovative in some cases, but we're helping kids, and that's what it's all
awesome.
about.
Thank you so much.
And then fall, she'll probably be back up to
Yeah,
regular
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
that's
Kyler,
awesome.
can you get a picture with us? You guys come up in front here.
Skylar, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Linda.
And I thought I would also mention, summer reading just finished last week. We had more than 4,000 in attendance. And you may not have thought so because our parking lot was empty, but that's because we were out in the parks.
I love that idea. Was it a different park each time?
It was downtown and
Veterans?
veterans, yeah, some of each. Yeah, we'll probably do some of that next year.
I love that idea.
But, you know, we've learned a few things from COVID, and including how to do literacy from a distance for people who need it that way too. So, yeah, it's good. Thanks.
you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Chief Roberts, you have anything for us tonight or not? Okay, all right. Tyler.
I don't have much either. Just wanted, since we've last met, Doreen retired from the recreation coordinator position, and we had over 95 applicants for that position. And we hired Joe Dorius. He's worked at the pool a long time for us, and just a Pleasant Grove guy, and so just a hard worker. We're really excited to get him in there, and he's jumped right in and picked up on the programs and is going to get going with those. And so we'll introduce you to him that don't know him next time at City Council. So other than that, any questions or anything?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Has our fire chief got anything for us tonight? Okay, you don't then. So
had a question for Tyler really quick.
Okay.
Do we have any pickleball tournaments coming up in Pleasant Grove City? Yeah, we'll make him in. I'm just curious if we have
He
any.
needs the exercise. Have him
Yeah.
come up.
We are working on a fall tournament just with the new coordinator and him picking up all the stuff that he's got to pick up from just to learn and everything. So it would fall on my plate. And so we're trying to run one in the fall
Okay,
in Pleasant Grove City.
thank you.
We're doing an employee one sometime in the fall as
Oh,
well. We're working on that one.
Okay, for our parks, Dion, do you have anything for us tonight? Okay. Well, we're gonna default to Marty, and you'll have to come up, Marty. We've always got something we want to get from you, so.
We got 3 inches of rain.
Jeez, did we?
45 minutes of greatness.
Yes.
Just joking. So just really quickly, I wanted to give you a water update. Thought you'd appreciate that. So we kind of show this graph each time that we've done that. As you remember, the first part, very end of June, first part of July is when we really started to stress this need for conservation to make sure we get through the end of the water year. What this graph is showing you is that that time period was here towards the end of June. And you can see this black line represents last year's usage and kind of where we ended up. The purple is this year's usage, and at that time we were above what our use had been that previous year. And what you can see is that we're tapering off. So in the month of July, so we were about 5% higher use at that point when we started asking our residents to conserve as well as the city. And what you can see now is we're about 5% less. And over the month of July, for the water use last year, we're about 17% less water use in that 1 month of usage. So if you just look at the 1 month, last year we used about 17% more than this year. So what you can see here, and I think you're probably maybe even seeing a little bit of our rainstorm, see that last little jog and drop off there, because people tend to turn off their sprinklers. Some do, some don't. Still see quite a few watering in the rainstorms, and but nonetheless, what it's projecting right now, so it's great. So we're seeing some conservation. We would like to see more, just because the reality is that these storms are awesome, but we don't have any guarantee that we're going to get those this year. We're not sure what this winter is going to be like. Right now, if we continue at the same rate that we're using, we will be out of our water, our storage water, by the first part of October. So it started out kind of towards the middle of September. Middle of September is where we started out in these discussions. We've dropped 17%. In the month of July. If we continue on that same rate, we're still not going to have enough to get through October 15th. So it's still something that, and usually, and we've had years where it got really kind of cold and wet towards the end of September, and we've actually shut our system down towards the first or second week of October rather than going all the way to October 15th. We've done that a few years. This year, I would say that our recommendation is going to be to just look at October 1st as a shutdown. And there's many reasons for that. One of them is that any water that we haven't used to that point, we will be able to carry over as storage holdover water for next year when we don't. This year, we had about 1,200 acre feet, about 20% of our normal usage of water available as holdover water. Next year, we will have eaten through all of that through October. And if we can continue to conserve, we can do better. And maybe we can carry over a couple 100 acre feet of water. That would be a great success to have a little bit, but nonetheless, it's probably just going to be a Band-Aid if we have a bad water year, and it won't really help too much if we don't get a good stormy winter. So any questions? I just thought that was, so it's good news. We are seeing some conservation, 17% reduction. We were looking for 30, right? That's what our goal was. We saw 17%. We still need to encourage that because we're still only looking at getting through the month of September, even right now with that reduction. So, but happy to answer any questions that you might have. Or
I think my only comment, maybe Mayor or Marty, would be I don't mind the goal of October 1st, What I don't want to have happen is I don't want it to be pretty good weather the last couple of days. We've had really good, wet weather. If we have wet weather for the next month or so, and we've already made the decision to turn off water October 1st, and then we have September, we have hot months, hot weeks, I think I would just be concerned about that, right? So I think before we make the decision to turn off water October 1st, let's wait another month and then make that determination. That would be my recommendation.
And we can see how it goes through the month of August, let's see where
Right.
we're at. And I think those are, time will tell, get to the middle of September, this is where we're at.
Yeah, 60 days is a lot.
But-
A lot can happen in 60 days. We may still run out of water by the middle of
And
September.
Todd, we could even go even to the point of saying, okay, no watering of grass after
Sure.
October 1st. And
Yeah.
if you have your garden and you want to water your garden, that's the only thing that would allow type of a thing. But I think our recommendation right now, usually after October 1st, a lot of the things are starting to get freezing temperatures. Most of the gardens are starting to die off around that time. And it's not too much of a hardship, but at the same time, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I'll just say it plainly, we have residents paying for secondary water 12 months a year.
Yeah.
And that's where their gripe will be, is that if we've paid for water 12 months a year, you can rebut that all day long, I get it, right? But, it just seems like we're always trying to squeeze that. Yes, we're in a drought, we totally get it, but let's don't make those decisions yet, in my opinion.
Marty?
Yeah.
If let's say we do the first, does that water roll over to the next year? That we
Yes,
said.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
what
I'm
he
saying,
says,
is
what
that
he's
any
saying.
water we
Yeah.
don't use out of our storage water, that's counted as holdover water, and that rolls over to next year, and it's held up in Deer Creek. This year, they're going to burn through all of the holdover water, almost of every entity that has water stored there. It's the anticipated usage. So there's gonna be lots of water to fill back into Deer Creek, and unless we have an amazing winter, that's gonna be a big benefit to us, because right now, even some of the storms, talking with Dion, they kind of just have wind into the ground. It's just recharging all of the dry ground that we have anyways, and we're gonna have to have an amazing winter to rebound it all from this, so it's a pretty, yeah. So I'd say that let's make some decisions. Todd, I understand the concept, we hear it all the time, I pay for it 12 months, I'm gonna use what I want, I can use it how much I want, and I think we need to make sure that, our message isn't, we're charging you for 12 months of use, for 6 months of use or 7 months of use over the 12 months, because it doesn't make sense to do it over 7 months.
Yeah.
That is the cost of providing the secondary water.
And
not
we
necessarily
all
for 12
understand
months.
that. That's, yeah.
But if we don't have it, we can't produce it.
You don't
Right.
have a share of nothing.
And
So,
I
yeah.
think really it's our protection of next year that I'm trying to get to. This year we may be able to extend it through October 15th, but whatever we do there is going to impact our availability of storage water next year, any holdover water, so.
I mean, I think a couple years ago, when we did the drought surcharge, we bumped up the date to October 1st, correct?
I believe so.
And when we did that, there wasn't a lot of pushback from the residents because they did understand that we were in a drought. And so I think if we were going to do it any time, this year would be appropriate to do it on October 1st. I think people are going to be understanding because this is even more severe than when we did the drought surcharge several years ago. So it's a
And
natural resource.
honestly-
Like once it's gone, it's gone. And we're trying to protect ourselves for next year as well. I don't think 2 weeks is going to make a huge difference. I don't mind waiting a little bit longer to see, but I'm okay with October 1st because I think people understand the situation that we're in.
Yeah, I think this trend will tell us by the end of August where we're going to end up. And it's great to see that we're even getting to October 1st and not talking about September 15th like
Right.
some other entities, right? So we are getting there, but I think that there is a benefit to try to preserve wherever we can, because next year is the big scary year. Again, we won't have that extra holdover water that we've enjoyed this year. If we didn't have that 1,200 acre feet, we'd be talking about September 1st. And so, anything that we can hold over will be a benefit to us. And we're going to have to make a hard decision. We may have to look for other water next year, kind of depending how the water year is going. And we might get to December and say, well, let's go find and see if anybody has any available water that we could potentially, again, rent from them. Like we did the 500 acre feet that year. So we had to have to do a drought surcharge on the bill again and things of that nature. That may be a solution to future needs. But anyways.
I think it needs to be clear, our message is, we are trending in the right direction, but we can't, just because we've had rain the last few days, doesn't mean everybody can just go back to normal. We still need to keep the same restrictions we have in place, because we need this trend to stay a hold. So hopefully that's our message to our residents. Keep doing what you're doing, it's working, but we need to keep doing what we're doing. And October 1st, as of today, that's a penciled-in goal date, and I think what Marty's saying is that at the end of August, we'll have a little better, clearer picture, and then we can have a little bit more of a specific discussion on exactly where we're gonna land.
And Marty, I know 8 years ago, we had the conversation where when residents were buying culinary water and sprinkling it on their lawns, they were using 2.2 gallons per minute per acre foot. When we went to a flat rate of the secondary water, I think it was $15 at that point, they started using 8 gallons per minute per acre foot. So I would love to know if those numbers have changed, because I think that that message is still very, very strong. It only takes 2 gallons per minute per acre foot to water your lawn, and right now you're using 8.
This is the state guidelines of what we should be using, is the orange. So that's kind of already, like, we're here, what the state, based on the amount of irrigable land that we irrigate in our system, we should be, much lower in that range of how much we've used. Right now, we're almost at 3,700 acre feet of water, when we should be at this time of the year somewhere here in the 2,100 acre feet of water. So significantly, you're 30, 40, 50% more usage a lot of times in a given year than you should be, just because it is, and that's going to come over time. You hear it through the legislature, you hear it in all the discussions, especially with drought. That's going to encourage that even more to happen probably faster with regards to metering, to be able to manage. And the reality is you've got to be able to know what you're using to be able to make good, wise decisions, and be able to regulate a little bit of the use so it's not abused in the system, and so you can manage your water and actually have enough that everybody can enjoy it rather than running out. So hope that helps. So any questions, I guess, about that or anything else?
Hey, Marty, I have one more for you. What's the latest with the county on our Center Street and 100 East? Has that gone out for bid?
I haven't heard it went out for bid. All of the red lines are done and it's ready for bid. So I don't know if it's going to happen this week or next, but it is right on the cusp of everything. I talked with the county on Thursday, and they're ready to move on it. So I just haven't heard that they put out the advertisement or not. So it's still something they're working to get done this year. So they haven't said that we're halting the project and going to do it in the spring or anything. They're still moving forward. The plans are done and ready to bid, and I believe they're moving forward on it.
So when that gets bid and they have a start date, would you email us and let the council know?
Absolutely. Yep. I'll let you know as soon as it goes out and a
That'd be great.
projected time frame on it. I did encourage them to try to write it in a way that they would try to start ours first. They do have another project they're bidding it with. That's one of the county projects that's not in our city. And so I said, it'd be great if you could focus on getting PG City done as soon as possible and then go do your other project later. So it's already been long enough. So.
Okay, thank you, Marty.
Yeah.
Well, just maybe one more question.
yeah.
Any news on this, on the county, First East?
That's what.
Oh, is that what the road you're talking about?
yeah.
Got it. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I didn't, I heard that response, so I'm good. I just didn't know that's the road you were talking about.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. They're moving on that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Daniel, we won't have you come up just yet, so just, you're our next one here, but Denise, you have anything for? And Kathy, do you have anything? Tina? No. Okay, Daniel, come up and you can give us a overall report before you start your other,
Okay. Well, he's getting set up. Just real quick, we have the Utopia groundbreaking this Thursday at 2 o'clock.
Marty, will you log off, please?
Where's that gonna be, Scott?
That's going to be at Manila Creek Park.
Creek Pond, that's a fun one.
And were you able to talk to to see if there's specific information, like we can start posting on social, like the
Yes,
city
in
and stuff?
fact, I was halfway through an email and got sidetracked for the
Okay.
afternoon, but I'll have something out to you tomorrow morning. They do have on their website, you can go to Pleasant Grove on cities that they're building in, and it shows a map
Okay.
and kind of their dates on when they're going to
Okay.
start each neighborhood. Right now, they're just doing trunk lines. That's what they're gonna be doing for the rest of the year.
Okay,
So there's not gonna be anybody signing up just yet.
okay.
But I'll get that information out to you. I did talk to Kim today about that, but
And then the city, like Lisa can put something out on Thursday for the
yeah,
ribbon cutting
then I
stuff.
think we'll put that on our social media so people can kind of
Okay.
track when their neighborhood's gonna be done.
Perfect.
So somebody posted that they had already got a door hanger.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're doing the backbone and there's
Yeah,
the same
Yeah, and
thing
there's
there.
paint, there's
They're
paint
putting a lot of
stripes.
cable in the ground,
Yeah.
but it's not to the house, it's just their trunk cable. They're up in the North Fields area.
I was very disappointed that it was that far north.
They
Well,
are
you
starting
know-
north is the first part that they're working on. Also,
It's a shame. It's a shame.
You gotta live out in God's country.
Shame,
Okay,
shame, shame.
Diana?
and I've sent you an appointment on this too, but next week is Summerbration, Thursday next week. And Ryan has got an awesome setup going on, so
Good.
a ton of vendors and many other cool things, so just a reminder for them.
And hopefully it'll be between
Okay.
75 and 80 degrees that evening.
Let's hope.
Thank you, by the way, for making calendar invites.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's nice.
I'm hoping that lands on your calendar so you know
It does.
where you need to be.
Yep.
So Daniel, just give us a brief update on any new things happening in
Yes.
community development before we,
Kathy, please set up the clock so I don't pass my time. We're gonna take 3 minutes on this. Okay, so first I want to show you guys something really cool. Before I go into the rezone, I talked to you guys about this that I've been working with my code enforcement officer. Right here, this is our code enforcement map that we just did for the city. So that's our city, and all those dots, those are cases for code enforcement that we've done, okay? So this is pretty cool. We've been working on this. We put some many hours on this. Every dot is a different color, and every dot represents something else. For example, a red dot, we can click on the red dot, and it will tell us the address, what the complaint is.
Don't click on Kathy's house.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So it will tell us, it's by color, it will tell us what the issue is, when the case was opened,
She's good.
but it shows also if the issue was closed. But then we have some data that tell us what happened right there. So every color represents something else. We have the orange. The orange usually is about landscape issues. Yeah, landscape, hazardous tree, things like that. So this is pretty amazing. You guys will have a copy of this you will have access to this. I will send you a link, and you will be able to log into it. I created so many maps for the city, so they already run out of my license of how many maps I can share, but I'm fixing that. But it's there, right? Something great about this too is that you can actually go right there. You can look addresses here as well. You can put any address and it will come out right there. You can play around with the cases. For example, we can go, let's see.
Can you go to 100 South, 300 East, the corner? Oh.
For example, tell us right here the most recent cases that we had, right? So we have the address, the type of complaint again, when it was open, and if it was already closed, and we have notes right here. So we will immediately know what's going on. So we will know the situation, so we can read on the notes. I think your code enforcement is working really good on this. I think I'm a very visual person, so I always want to have maps for everything, and this will help us a lot. When someone calls you guys about a concern or something, we immediately can pull up that map and see what's going on. So that's the link that I'm going to send to you guys. Again, we've been working on this, and it looks like it's ready. We have a couple of details. I just need to come up with a legend right here that tells you what every color means, and we'll be good to go. Okay? So that's the announcement that I have. And now...
well, Gail's been busy,
Yeah, she's been working.
along with the rest of your staff.
She has been awesome
She's-
for us. She's done a good
That's been one of our best hires we've had, so.
So Daniel, there's a question. I mean,
Uh-huh.
are we prioritizing infractions?
By chunks of the... no. We're
Like,
If someone calls.
you know, is that higher priority or dirt pile in the street?
we,
You know, versus an accessory apartment?
Fortunately enough, we have enough time to cover all of them, and we
Wow,
haven't.
I've never heard that before.
Hey, we're
Hey.
getting better.
Holy cow, nice work, Daniel.
we don't get but what the way we've been doing, we've been based base complaints. So if the neighbors call us, that's when we go. But she's also driving around. The way we're doing, as you guys can see, we go by sections of the city. Like we choose a section of the city and then we tackle it down. Those are because she's being proactive as well. So we're being proactive, something that we weren't doing before, and we also being base complaints. So if a neighbor calls us, then we'll go. So
Is
so
that the
far,
question, if a neighbor calls, does that bump to the top of the list? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously, there's obviously, there's also, I mean, all these are code infractions, totally get that. Some are more hazardous, more, safety-centered, more visually, you know, whatever, right? I want to make sure we're prioritizing, because that's a lot, right? I
Yeah.
want to make sure we're prioritizing the bad ones
yeah.
and, you know, first.
Well, that's a lot, but this is a historic map. So this one has the ones that have already been closed.
Okay.
So open, we don't have that many. Open, we have like 30 open or
Okay.
20 open, but this one just shows to see if someone is, how do you say that, doing it over and over again. So reincidental, is that a word? Reincidental? That, you know, that they fix the problem, they came back to it, and they fix the problem and came back to it. So this shows all the cases that we've done since Gail started working with us. But open cases, we don't have that many because, again, I mean, it's our goal to close them. We just go to right here, and we can find the ones that are still open, and then we'll work on those, which we don't have that many.
Are we still doing it just by phone call, or have we enabled this on the web? I can't remember that discussion.
What do you mean?
We had a discussion, maybe
We're
people
doing it by
could go
phone call.
via the website and report. We had that conversation, I just can't remember where it went.
I don't recall. Is there a way for them to file a complaint online?
No, not yet. So we're doing it by phone call.
Yeah, we can set that up.
Yeah, we can send that up. That's a good idea. Okay, so that's something that I wanted you guys to show you. Did I answer your question, Council Member Williams?
Thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep, appreciate it.
Daniel, so I've seen some of these people, the houses that are still active. So does a code enforcement person go there and talk to these people? And then is there a deadline as for them to clear up the problem? Is that
Yes.
is that on this, so we know what the deadline is?
Yes.
And
What
what's the consequence? Have you issued any citations?
we haven't got, you know what? Presidents of Pleasant Grove have been very nice. Usually depending on the severity of the problem, is the time that we give them to clean up the issue, right? If it's a lot that needs to bring some trackers and clean up some construction material, we'll give them a little longer. If it's just tall grass, we'll give them a couple days. It depends. So it's up to her discretion. We
reason-
haven't got to, sorry, go ahead.
The reason why I asked that question is along First East, as I traveled that numerous times during the day, the same houses have been in the same condition for years.
That's my point, right there.
Years. And I drive past and I say, some of those I've mentioned to you or to people there, and nothing happens. And weeks turn into months, and they're not cleaning it up. Now, either she's really, really busy, or she's really, really kind.
So she's both. She's busy and she's
Well,
kind.
does she have Tina, does she have the authority to actually take it to the next step, or is that when we have to get the police involved?
When she gets to the point where she needs to issue a criminal citation to haul the person into court, she's directed to take a police officer with her. I have not seen any cases, to be honest with you, come through as zoning violations in the criminal court yet.
So the process is like this. She usually goes to the place, knocks on the door, tries to talk to the person. She will do that a couple times, trying to do face-to-face interaction.
Okay.
In many cases, a lot of these places are rentals, so people don't open the door. So then what she does is she writes certified letters, and then she goes to the mail, and then she hopes that the certified letter gets to it, because it's hard to get a hold of the actual property owner many times. And then once she gets a hold of that person, which she takes, to be honest, to get a certified letter and to get an answer, it takes about a couple months.
Can't she do a record search to find out who the owner is?
Yeah, but when the owner doesn't live there, lives in a different state or there's a different city, she sends a certified layer trying to reach out to them, and that's the process that she's doing. Now, I'm pretty sure this is case by case scenario. So if you text it to me or just send me an email, I'll for sure tell you exactly the details of what happened to that property. I can tell you on this day, this is what happened, and give you a detailed report on what happened with that property.
There's 9 of them.
Yeah.
And
And does she- and does- and
they're
does
the
she-
same condition they were last year and the year before.
Brent, I would suggest if you can email those to Gail. I've emailed her each time or had a resident email her, and she's been very responsive and gone out the next day. So I would email Gail directly.
If you CC me on it, and then I will give you a report. I'll remember to give a report of those properties exactly,
Okay.
of what happened. Okay.
Thanks, Daniel.
My pleasure, Mayor. Okay. So Nick, can I talk about the rezone now?
Yeah,
Yes.
let's do a presentation. on
Okay,
that.
let's do a presentation about this. You know what? I'm just gonna go on the same maps right here. So we have a property. Our subject property is this one right here, currently in the R120 zone. I'm gonna zoom in a lot to it so we can take a look at it a little closer. Okay, there we go. So the property or the subject property that the applicant is proposing to rezone is this area right here, 3.4 acres behind the LDS church and just north of 1440. So this is the area that we have. I had the opportunity to meet with a couple of the residents, amazing people with the neighbors, and they have some concerns about this. This item went to the Planning Commission, and it received a unanimous recommendation of approval. What the applicant was proposing at the beginning was an R110 zone, okay? It was like, I would like to rezone these 3.4 acres into an R110 zone. As the applicant kept working on it, and of course talking to the neighbors and hearing the concerns of the neighbors, he changed his proposal to an R112. So he went from R110, says, you know what, I understand that they want quality development, I'm gonna go to R112. The situation that we have to with this property is similar. This is already an R120, but it's similar to this big parcel we have right here with the developer. It's Jared Bishop. His application hasn't been dropped. The application is still there. He has an application for this property as well for an R110 zone. What the conversation?
Daniel, do you know why this has been dropped?
Yeah, because he had a conversation with the neighbors, and we've been going through multiple emails, and kind of like the neighbors, what they settled on, or at least that's the conversation they have with the applicant, is that he was gonna do R110 lots in the middle, right here, and a couple of R112 lots around.
It's actually R112 and R115.
Yeah, he's going to R112 only. So, and then what he decided is to hold the rezone, do the subdivision first, and then present them at the same time.
As a development plan.
As a development. That's his prerogative.
That was mine and his conversation that I had with him.
Yeah. So, but it's not going to R115, it's R112. R112 lots around it and R110 in the middle. Now, we are reviewing the subdivision right now, right? Now, the subdivision cannot be approved because the lots are still R&R. Anyway, so that's what happened right here. If we translate it to this one, to this area right here, what the applicant again, of course I told him, hey, this is the situation, the same latitude. I don't think the neighbors will be jumping up and down about this rezone, so then he decided to change it to an R112. That's actually the recommendation from the Planning Commission, is to go to an R112 zone, okay? There's have been some talk about the general plan and what the general plan has to do with this. The general plan is usually called oh, this is not the map, sorry. The general plan is called, in simple words, kind of like the constitution of a city in regards to land use. If we take a look at our general plan map, is this one that I have right here. And actually I have some printouts. You know what, can I hand them right now or during the meeting?
Do it in the meeting, please.
During the meeting? During the meeting, okay. Got it. Okay, so if we
And
take,
and I would ask, Daniel, everything that you say here needs to be in that meeting.
yeah, no, of course, yeah, we're gonna repeat exactly the same.
You've already told him that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the same presentation, even maybe a little more detail we say later. But anyway, so that property is located right here. It's in this area right here. Can you guys see the mouse? Yeah, okay. This is the low-density residential. There has been talk about gradients and how we want to go from bigger lots to smaller lots. And that's what a general plan has. If we take a look at this, we have rural density residential on the north. So it's coming from north to south. That's how we've decided to do it. Now, this general plan land use map has been with the city for quite some time. We kind of did a revision 5 years ago, and this is what we decided to keep it on.
I'm sorry. Say that sentence again, Daniel.
This one has been adopted, this land use map for many years since the first general plan that we had. And then we had a revision about 5 years ago.
Okay, where is that revision and why is it on the website?
Oh, it's that one, because we didn't change things. It kept like that.
Well, it says 2007 on the website. Do we need to change that?
Yeah, because
That was the question, right? Right now, our residents are going off a 14-year-old general plan. And if you're telling me that this was revised 5 years ago, we got another problem.
yeah, it was revised, but the decision was not to make any changes. The decision that it was done, it was to change this line right here, this one right here, that actually right now is on 1100, to push it up, actually. It was gonna make smaller lots for the entire city. And it was decided to keep it as it is. So
But we
that's
still
why
need
the
to
cha-
update it with the current date, I mean, 2015, correct?
Well, let me say this a different way. We reviewed it, but did not change it.
Correct.
But none of the residents know that. But the residents don't know that.
And could
They're-
we-
Like
could-
Todd said, they're looking at a 14-year-old map. So can we at least put the most recent map up there?
I think
I
what
mean,
you're saying is
on the website.
that because it didn't change, it was actually, it hasn't changed. The 2007 plan
map.
is the same plan.
Well, you could down there in the footer say reviewed on this date.
Yeah,
He's using the term revised, it should be reviewed.
Thank you.
Okay?
that just needs to be
Okay.
somewhere on there.
Approved.
And approved.
It was reviewed and approved on.
It was reviewed and approved? If it was approved, then it should be updated.
We didn't approve it because we didn't make any changes, so we kept it as it was.
But-
It was still a vote that we approved the general plan.
So. Yeah. It could have been just the planning commission reviewed it and then didn't push it forward to us. I don't know, I'm just taking guesses here, right? Planning commission's your land use authority, right? They could have reviewed it and said there's no changes and left it, right? I'm just guessing here.
Well,
But regardless, there should be something on there that
Correct.
references 2015, because no one knows that, in the public, that this was revised. correct?
currently, the only names that I recognize, that's the word I was looking for, is Tina and Dion. It's the only name.
Oh,
So-
on the, okay.
Yeah, so the plan that I'm looking at, that's on the website, was done July 3rd, 2007. If we approved, if council has approved a new master plan, we need to get that on the website.
Yes.
If they haven't,
So
then we need to write a new general plan and make sure that's updated.
So what happened, and I checked that with, remember Kathy, when I asked you I talked to Kathy, and she gave me a review plan, but only of the land use chapter. We didn't go and change the whole general plan, just one chapter of it, and we've been doing it by chapter. That was before our time,
So
right?
is that
chapter.
updated in the general plan on the website?
Yes.
Can you tell me what chapters and sections have been updated?
I don't remember exactly. I don't remember exactly which ones were.
Because one and two, Kathy? So on page 5 of chapter 1, it says that it was adopted July 3rd, 2007.
Yeah, I don't think it was 1 and 2. We'll check. We'll check. But I don't think it was 1 and 2. So going back to this, the property is right here, and right now it's in the low density residential. The low density residential has a menu of zones that we consider appropriate for the low density residential, and those are R110, R112, and R115. So R112 is the one in the middle. It's not the lowest, but it's not the highest one, right? So again, that's what the menu of this. And it's in the table. Low density residential, R110, R112, R115. And it's also in the language of this. So is there a gradient or kind of like going down from bigger lots to smaller lots? Yes, there is. We can see it right there in the general plan, but also in the zoning map. Now, we decided that to make the delineations completely horizontal and not perpendicular lines. If we take a look at this, most of our lines for land use differentiation are horizontal, right? We went to along streets. But as we go down, we completely change, and then we just go on all over the place on how we want it.
So Daniel, can I ask you just a question quick, just
Yeah.
so that I'm clear? In this, oh, sorry, go back.
That map?
Yeah, in this area right here, you have as low-density residential. In the master plan dated 2007, it says that low-density acceptable zones are R115 and R112. Why would the applicant be applying for R110 if that wasn't acceptable in the plan that's documented on the website dated 2007?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I had that conversation with the applicant. This is the table. So in the table, we have the three zones, R110, R112, R115.
Can you tell me what page you're on?
Yeah, I'm on page 25.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that this document, or this page, and I'm specifically talking about page 20, is wrong
Yeah,
in the general plan?
yeah.
Okay, so we're expected to not go off this page, but to go off another page,
So-
off the general plan.
So I talked to
Is that
Tina-
right?
Yeah, I talked to
Okay,
Tina about
so let me
this
just go to, oh, sorry. So let me just go to what page are you on?
one. 25.
Okay, let me just go to it quick.
And also, you can take a look at 22. So we have it in multiple sites.
Okay,
So it's on page 25. That's where we have the table.
okay, go ahead.
And then on page 22, that's where we have the language. And the page that you're looking at is, I'm going to put it right here. It's in the map that we have right here. Here we go. That map. In this map, if you guys take a look at this map, and I'm going to zoom in because I think this is the one you're referring to. The map has a mistake because it says low density. It allows for 2 to 4 maximum dwelling units. 2 to 4, it's R1, R115, R112, and R110.
Can you show me where it says that?
Yeah, right here.
On this page?
Yeah, on this page. That's the map that you're seeing. But then if you keep looking
Well, but-
for right here,
Yeah, right
it's
here.
missing that zone, right? So that's a mistake that's a mistake of the engineer when they draw this map.
That's not the residents' problem, and that's not the city council problem.
No, I get it. I totally get it.
Okay.
I'm just trying to explain. So it says right here 2 to 4, which is the 3 zones, and then here only has 2. And if we keep looking at it, it's in other portions of the general plan, is in the table, and it is in the language, right?
So, question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Could we come out, I mean, in some areas, I guess, if they want to argue this, they could say it's hodgepodge all over, right? Here you're telling me this, here you're telling me this, right? Legitimately, could they say that?
They're asking for
Well, I know, but if they're looking at our plan and saying, well,
So I was just going to bring this up.
Okay.
This is an interesting discussion that needs to be had.
Yeah.
But this discussion is not pertinent to the application that you're considering tonight, because they are asking for an R112, and R110 is the one that has the confusion about it.
My point, Tina, specifically, is that this is an ineffective general plan, and any type of, if we're going to say that this is a legal document, which has been said.
It is a legal document.
What?
It is a legal
I know,
document.
that's what I said. Yeah, that's what I said. So if this is a legal document, and there's irregularities and inconsistencies and errors in that, you can't just say, well, it applies to this one, but it doesn't apply to that one. I'm going to take this page, or I'm not going to take that page. So that's the statement that I'm making tonight, That's the email that I sent to city staff that I will be reading tonight. We have an ineffective general plan that was written 14 years ago, and I'm demanding that city staff correct it. Because what's happening currently is that residents are coming and looking at the general plan. There's inconsistencies and irregularities. They're coming to their elected officials. Their elected officials are saying, you're right. And city staff says, sorry, we're only able to go off this page. That's inappropriate.
The irregularity, at least as I understand, only refers to the R10. And that's not what they're asking for.
Well, as far as we know.
That's all they're asking for.
That's all they're asking. Well,
It's a non-issue.
it's
Okay.
R112.
If you're saying that that's the only irregularity in this
That's the only
document,
irregularity.
okay, then I think we got a problem.
Okay.
I'm finishing writing an RFP, a request for proposal. We save up for 2 years, and we have plenty of money now to work in the new general plan. The biggest concern that we have, or the biggest point that we highlight in the RFP, the request for proposal, is that we want a lot of involvement in this from the residents. So usually when people write general plans, we just send questionnaires to people and they send it back to us. Or we have meetings, we have charades, where we have maps, and people usually don't show up. So what we're doing this time is we're trying to, or whoever's going to help us out, the firm that's going to help us out, we're going to use Twitter, we're going to use Instagram, we're going to use Facebook, Pinterest, whatever we need to use to make sure that we have a lot of participation.
Daniel, I've got over 30 emails of people that are against this that would love to be involved.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I don't think we have a bunch of residents that are angry at you and Tina that we haven't been able to effectively, they just feel like they haven't been heard. And quite frankly, that's what city elected officials have to listen to, is they have to listen to the residents. So I've got an email today. This is a work session, so I'm going to say this publicly, but they kind of felt blown off by you, right? That you just said, hey, this is the way it is. We're not even listening to you. They feel like that from the Planning Commission. I understand Planning Commission is going off a different set of rules, but for us to just blanket statements say, it's in the general plan, we're not hearing you, then we may as well cancel cancel Planning
Hey,
Commission.
Todd, I don't know. Let's not go there.
I'm just saying that we have to hear public residents.
We have it.
Well, we're going to, and everybody knows what's going to happen at the end of the night.
Well,
So
From
I'll
a
say
legal,
something really quick.
from a legal standpoint, there's only certain things that we can do. Only certain things we can do, Todd. Contrary to what you want to do is to open this up into everybody screwed this up and we need to respond to the citizens. And unfortunately, sometimes people don't like to hear that there's nothing we can do. Because in this particular case, there is nothing that we can do.
I don't believe that at all.
What's allowed in that zone is an R10, but that's not what they're asking for. It's an R12. And that is allowed in that zone. And we cannot legally.
I'm asking, I'm not asking.
Let me finish,
Hey,
Todd.
let him finish.
Okay.
And we are not responding to anything else, and that is allowed in the zone. And if we say no, and here's the reasons why, there's a 2007 mistake that was made in this, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be spending some money on a lawsuit because the city will get sued because they have the right to go in that zone and get the R12, contrary to what the citizens are concerned about.
Are you finished?
Yeah,
I have never, ever, in any of my emails, my conversations, asked for a disapproval of the R112 zone. Mark my words. I've never said that.
So what's
What
your
I've said-
concern?
What I've said is that we have an ineffective general plan. We have city staff that hasn't listened to residents because of that, and they haven't been able to effectively communicate to their elected officials and they're finding inconsistencies in the general plan. So as a city councilman, I'm asking that we change the general plan to reflect a stronger and more robust plan. That's what I'm saying.
He's already said he's going to do that.
Great,
That's where we're going.
So
great.
But we're not going there tonight. So what else do you have for us, Daniel?
No, that's what I have. So
Okay.
again, for R112, allows for three units per acre. So it's not going 4, it's 3 units per acre. That's what R112 is for.
Okay.
That's what I have.
All right, thank you.
My
This
pleasure.
was a good discussion, and that's why we wanted to have it here in work session, because we will not be having remarks like this from the council.
That's a shame.
So
That's disappointing, Mayor.
no, it's not.
That you're gonna shut
Well,
down?
you can. I'm not gonna shut you down.
Okay.
You can get on your podium if you want to, but really, we have a master plan, and you may think it's ineffective, but that's what we have, and that's where we're at. So anyway, with that, I'd like to motion to adjourn and go to have our break, and we'll reconvene at 6 o'clock.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second.